and then we will go live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the Island Innovation interview series on Facebook Live and on YouTube. My name is James Ellsmore. I'm the director of Island Innovation, and I'll be leading a interview today with part of the world which I think in Island Innovation we have not covered as much in terms of Southeast Asia. Because of the focus of Island Innovation, we've often had a lot of involvement from SIDS countries, from islands, smaller islands in Europe and Australia. But Southeast Asia has more islands than anywhere else in the world, and so is an absolutely vital part of the conversation, particularly Indonesia, also the Philippines, Thailand, and neighboring countries. But today we'll be looking at talking a little bit about Indonesia in its global context. And so my guest today is Ahmad Asia Sani, who is the project manager for the Archipelagic and Island States Forum, which is run by UNDP Indonesia and was initiated by the government of Indonesia as part of its efforts to connect with islands around the world, and also encourage startups and innovation and research in the island context. So today will just be a conversation. And Ahmad, over to you. Tell us a bit about the forum and the work that you're doing. And welcome. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, thank you so much, James. And thank you to Island Innovation for this great opportunity. It's great that I can, on behalf of the AIS Forum Secretariat, that I can be here and kind of just like introduce our initiative and what we are trying to do here. So essentially, the AIS Forum Secretariat is a project under UNDP, just like James mentioned. However, it was initiated by the government of Indonesia out of, the realization that as the largest archipelagic, you mentioned that Southeast Asian has, we have more islands than other regions perhaps, and there are 17,000 islands in Indonesia alone, more than that. So I think it's just natural that for Indonesia to participate, in the global context of islands as well as archipelagic nations, that this forum was initiated to include all of island countries around the world, regardless of their size and development stage, in order to have some the so-called cross collaborations where more developed island countries with their technology and their resources could help perhaps other more developing ones and share the lesson learned, share the technology that we hope that these countries could make. And that's why in the AIS Forum Secretariat, we have three main focuses in activities. The first one is around research and development, where we try to build a network of universities from all over archipelagic and island states around the world, just to have them collaborate with each other, and hopefully from there, there will be innovations that could address the four, I should say, focus areas of the forum, which is the first one is on climate change, blue economy, marine plastic debris, and also good maritime governance. And the second focus is on entrepreneurship, which I think is very important and crucial in terms of helping countries, becoming more developed in a sense that entrepreneurs create jobs, open job opportunities and create innovation as well. So we're also focusing on that, and particularly we're focusing on developing startup ecosystem through our startup hub called the AIS Blue Startup Hub. You should check. We have the website for that, which is the www.bluehub.com, and you just go there and check our initiative around that one. And the last one, the last initiative that we have is on international cooperation. So as an international forum, we also try to engage with stakeholders from all over archipelagic and island states, CSOs, government authorities, and what we try to do here is that we want to encourage, cross collaboration through, for example, technical aids, workshop trainings, sharing some of the best practices that are being implemented in other countries to the other island states. So I think those are what we're trying to do here, and I think based on the final outcome of the AIS Forum Ministerial meeting back in 2019, it is clear that our direction is to become the facilitator of smart and innovative solutions for archipelagic and island states.
Fantastic. Thank you for that overview. And it's certainly interesting because on the international level, obviously, the SIDS countries, Small Island Developing States, is a very strong grouping that collaborates. But Indonesia is obviously a huge country relative to most SIDS, but many of the islands in the country are quite small and quite isolated from each other. So there's a lot of small islands that have interesting that will be interesting to build those connections. And I'm wondering from the work that you've done with the AIS, if there are any areas, you mentioned the blue economy or energy, that you think, or even specific projects that you think have happened on islands in Indonesia that are maybe particularly interesting or exciting for other parts of the world, or any areas that Indonesia has perhaps excelled at researching. And in the other direction, if there are perhaps areas that you've seen or opportunities for Indonesian islands to learn from other countries through this work.
Yeah, thanks for that, James. So I think in terms of what Indonesia does best as an archipelagic countries is in terms of tourism, because I think we have a long history of tourism where we have so many tourism sites that are famous. I mean, Bali most certainly is one of the the place that everyone knows. But other than that, we have so many hidden gems around just scattered around the countries, and I think the government has been trying to use tourism not just as a way to to sell a place, but also to promote better development of the local communities. That's why in the AI Secretariat we also have campaign on ecotourism, where we have these 5 pledges, and these pledges basically we're trying to respect the local communities, trying to build the local communities, and at the same time trying to preserve the environment through the introduction of the ecotourism principle. So I think that's one of the area that I think Indonesia can do best. What the country or specifically for what Indonesia can learn from other island states, I think in terms of developing resources, marine resources, for example, specifically let's say for example energy resources from the ocean. I think this is the area where we can definitely learn from some of the island countries out there who have managed to utilize these resources, for example, like the offshore wind or the floating solar PV, those kind of resources that I think as an island countries we have a bigger area of ocean compared to our lands, and I think it's just natural that if we utilize this bigger size of area, in terms of getting resources from. So I think that's where I think where the cross learning can happen.
Definitely, and we'll come back in a second to the startup and research element, and talk about that a little bit more. But maybe we could just touch on the political dimension to AIS first, and if you could expand a little bit more on, I guess, why the Manado Declaration, and kind of where this came from, and from the national level, the rationale for Indonesia wanting to build these closer relationships with other island states.
Yes, I think the initiative was was born out of a realization that currently there are no forums that's can accommodate, I should say, islands from various with various size and development stages, and as an island we have a very specific, I should say, problems compared to, let's say, for example, continent countries, and the way we solve their problems perhaps would not best would not be suitable by using the approach of the continent countries, and just seeing this opportunity where Indonesia could play a leading role in terms of providing a more island-based solution to the problems that we're facing, like, for example, sea level rise, climate change, and those kind of things, is the reason why the AIS Forum Secretariat was first initiated. So um, I think that's is the main reason why this forum was first initiated.
Great. And a question on that. I'm just curious for people who maybe don't know Indonesia, or have not been there. Um, do you think that Indonesians on the whole feel like islanders? I mean, Java, Sumatra, huge islands where you don't necessarily feel like that. So I'm curious to know if there is a sense of what islandness means within Indonesia. Do people living in the capital think of the smaller islands, or do they identify with living on an island? Hope that question makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, James. Uh, I think I cannot speak on behalf of the other Indonesian, but I think I can speak for myself, where having grown up in this country, um, I think what I'm missing as someone who actually was born in an island was that island mindset, that I think was lacking from me, and from I think it, the environment that I grew up was also, having the lack of this kind of like the island mindset, where as an islander, your ocean should be your your front yard, instead of what I felt right now is that we've been, um, making our ocean as our backyard, not as our front yard, and that having that kind of mindset certainly um, is reflected through how we use our marine resources, and as you can see, I don't have the exact data, but I think the contribution of the maritime sector, the marine sector in Indonesia is still not as expected. I think the number is still below 10% compared to some of the island countries, who perhaps have smaller GDP compared to Indonesia, but they have higher contribution of their maritime sector. But I think that uh, that issue, the government has realized about that, and for the past two periods of the current President Jokowi's government, I remember that during his initial speech, his first when he was first assumed office, he said that he'll make the ocean. We have to. I mean, he asked all Indonesians to start treating our ocean as our front yard, and just building this maritime mindset that we've been, I would say, ignoring for so long, is the direction that the current government is trying to pursue. So, and the proof of that is one of that, I should say, is the AS Forum Secretariat itself, and what we are trying to do here.
Okay, that's really interesting way of thinking, and it really interests me how different countries see islands. Sometimes people don't think of themselves as islands, or they see islands as somewhere else. And obviously, the difference with Indonesia is that the sheer size of the population and the number of islands that you have makes it a very different context than some other island countries. But coming back to the startups and the research, you highlighted a couple of areas of interest, including the blue economy, and I know you have a personal interest in energy. Um, so maybe you could just refresh us on kind of the key topic areas that you mentioned, and then talk a little bit more about how AIS is supporting startups and research in the island context.
Yeah, so I think in terms of the blue economy, what we're trying to do here, specific to the blue economy, is that first we want to make people understand about what blue economy actually is, because people can often confuse about having ocean economy and blue economy, whereas ocean economy is just that the economy of your maritime sector or your marine sector, but in terms of like the blue economy, you have that sustainable aspect of it, and I think um, I see that as something that is new, a concept maybe not a completely new concept, but it's something that has just been brought to attention about. Okay, we do have this green economy, those kind of things. Oh, okay, but what about the ocean? Because ocean also plays an important role, and I think this so-called blue economy is something new that is being introduced, and we have several activities with universities in terms of giving understanding with the people about what is blue economy through our webinars. And then the second one is that we also have an initiative in terms of developing a blue financing framework, which is essentially it is a framework that can help financial institution, private or public, to support um, projects or businesses around marine conservations, sustainable fisheries, ecotourism, those kind of things. And we're developing this together with one of the international bank from an island country. So I think this is a very good opportunity or a good time for us to do that. And in terms of startups, the AI's Blue Hub, there are plenty of incubators out there, but I think not many that is trying to focus specifically in marine focused startups. And what we're trying to do here at the AI's Blue Hub is that we are trying to tackle that niche of marine startups that actually can contribute to the development of island states, and we want to build our capabilities around that, because sometimes startups, they look the same, but actually they have different problems. It turns out that they have different problems, and that is what we're trying to do now through the AS Blue Startup Hub, is that we're trying to help marine focused startups to grow.
And I know for many in small island developing states, one of the biggest barriers to growing a business or developing a startup is market size. If you're
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
small country, there's limited opportunities. But given the similarities between islands, perhaps this is a way of helping those companies reach a broader market, reach more people that perhaps will be difficult for them to reach themselves. Um, yeah, we talked a lot about blue economy, which I think is important, and I know you have your energy interest, and I'm curious whether this is in the context of AIS or more broadly. If you could talk a little bit about the energy situation in Indonesia, particularly how that relates to the smaller islands and renewable energy.
Yeah, yeah. So I think in terms of interest in energy, I think it's more kind of like a personal interest. Although the AS Forum Secretariat also have, not directly, have this interest, but it falls under our, climate change, because the big issues about energy is that how it is now contributing to the climate change, right? And in my view, that um, the energy sector, we're facing sort of like a trilemma, if I can borrow the terms that I think it was the World Economic Forum used, a trilemma, because um, there are three challenges of providing energy to the people, especially in developing states. The first one is affordability. That is for sure, and this is I think is the first one that mm, in terms of like providing energy is the first requirement that we must meet. And the second one is in terms of is security. So this is more like where you get the sources of energy, right? Because I think every country around the world, having secure energy is within their, national policy. And the third one is sustainability, and sometimes you cannot get three of them. So if you get two of them, you lose the other one. So, and I think that is the challenge that we're facing right now in terms of like how we can get all three of them. And in terms of energy, in Indonesia, like most developing countries, um, or even developed ones, back in the days, most of them were using fossil fuels. Like it is just natural, and that is what the country is currently running on. We run on fossil fuels, but we do realize that it won't be sustainable for long. and and I think there has been commitment showed by the current government, particularly through participating in the Paris Agreement through our NDC, to lower our emission. That is the first one, and I think the second one is that through promoting renewable energy, albeit the percentage are still low. That is completely understandable, because just to move the needle, is very hard, given how if we see the history, having energy transition, from firewood to coal takes 100 years. And I think this transition from fossil fuels, to renewables will take some time, but we do know that we are facing a very pressing um, situation, and we just somehow need to think about how we can accelerate that, how we can have a faster transition than what we have in the past, when we're transitioning from wood to fossil fuels. And I think innovation is the answer, and I think that is what we're trying to do here, through the AS Forum Secretariat, having just enabling innovation to achieve that.
Definitely interesting. And I know Indonesia has a very high electrification rate, close to 100%, but there
Yeah.
seems to be an opportunity with renewables. In some countries, it's about electrification, which, as I said, is less important in most of Indonesia, with a few provinces accepted. But there's an exciting opportunity to also actually decrease the cost, because my assumption is that for many of the smaller islands, the cost of electricity generation is quite high. You
Mm,
don't have the economies of scale that you would have in Java, for
true.
example. So there's an exciting opportunity there, and I know again a very good link with your neighbors in the Pacific or other island countries. Well, that was most of the questions that I have. I'm not sure if there's anything that we haven't covered that you particularly would like to share, or any other comments about the work that you're doing that people might be interested to hear about.
Yeah, I think we have covered like most of the important ones. In terms of I think I just want to say to everyone out there who have particular interest in terms of having startups or currently involved in a research that are related to island countries. We can definitely uh, discuss or communicate with each other, and see where we can collaborate, because I think that is what the ARS forum is all about. Here we foster collaboration, we enable innovation. That's what what our tagline is, and we're trying our very best to achieve that. So please keep tracking on our programs through our website, www.aisforum.org, and see some of the works that we have done, and also check the AIS Blue Hub that we have. And we have plenty more coming up, particularly next year. I understand that this year most of our activities are sort of postponed, if not canceled, because of the pandemic. But hopefully by next year, we could have, some do more some of the activities that we postponed, and for sure there will be lots and more activities around, startups and research and development. So I think that's about it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. And we're excited at Island Innovation to explore new ways of involving the Southeast Asian islands into the program that we're doing. And we really appreciate your support for the recent virtual island summit. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing what you're doing today. And we will be in touch. And the links that you mentioned, we'll make sure to include that in the description so people can learn some more about AIS. So thank you so much, Ahmad, and thank you everyone who is watching in the various places that we're streaming this online.
Thank you, James. Thank you, All Innovation. It's great to be part of your initiative.
Thank you.